This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. This is Central Texas Life with Ann Harder.
Hello and welcome to Central Texas Life. It is a joy to have Jennifer Snyder with Neat as a Pin on the show again, and we decided it's been about 3 years since we had a chance to sit and talk. Crazy. You were a guest on Central Texas Living, the television show on Channel 25 back a long time ago.
Long time ago, right?
A long time ago. You brought a wonderful little talk to a local women's organization that I was privileged to be at and hear you. And you talked about, you were kind of easy. Do I want to talk about packing? Do I want to talk about organization? How to get rid of sentimental things? So many things.
So many things. That
you are an expert at. So I thought, now that we're in kind of our reddish, I'm calling it red, you say it's orange, and green, we are in the throes of the Christmas decorating season.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to drag those bins out and look at stuff and maybe not put it all out or put it all out. I mean, whatever. What do we need to be thinking about how to continue to get organized when it comes to decorations?
Right. So first of all, you said drag. And so when we think about bringing out our Christmas decorations,
our treasures,
we're dragging them out. It's a chore, and
it kind of has gotten to be
and
that as the years go by.
It is, and I find that too. I used to count down the days until I could decorate for Christmas, and now I'm like,
I just do this?
Right. It used to be like, ooh, 4 more days, and now it's like, oh, I only have 4 more days until I have to do that, and so much so I outsource it. I
know a lot of people do.
I have an organizer. One of my organizers comes and puts up my Christmas decorations, and she takes them down. But it's a thing. And I find though that a lot of people will put them on top. So we decorate our homes for 11 months of the year, and hopefully we like those decorations.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then we bring all this other stuff out on top of it. And
True.
And oh, look, here's a hole. I'm going to put this here.
Put a nutcracker there.
Right. And there's a shelf up here. There's room on this shelf up here in front of the books. I'll put a little angel up here. And we just stuff them, and we don't approach it with intention. And the best thing that I have found that you can do to, keep your home from feeling overwhelming is to take something away. For everything you put out, take one thing away.
Right, you've got the bin there.
Correct.
So just wrap it in tissue, put, your little knickknacks or whatever you've got out the rest of the year.
That's right.
And free up a whole space.
That's right. And then I wouldn't try to organize it now, but if you were to organize it on the back end, when you take down all those decorations, whether it's a tree or whatever, is to put them together by room. Sometimes we try to be organized in the sorting process. So, all these are all candles. I'm going to put all the candles in this box. And while candles make sense in one box, it makes sense if that's the only box not going in the garage.
Of course, it cannot go in the garage.
Right. But if none of them are going in, if you have a climate-controlled storage, it doesn't matter. And so what you would want is dining room decorations, family room decorations, living room.
I never thought about doing it that way.
And put them together. When you put them together, then all you have to do is put on the outside of the box, family room. Mm-hmm. And so next year when you take it out, you bring your bin to the family room, and you unpack that bin, and everything is right there. Mm-hmm. And if you pack them up by rooms, some rooms may not have as much as others, and you can combine a couple. But if it's just all of the tree skirts and you've got 10 trees, well, if you've got 10 trees, they're all over your house, and you're running around like a crazy person just putting out tree skirts.
Not to mention the trees to go above the skirt.
And the decorations.
I'm overwhelmed just thinking about that. one tree's plenty for me.
Me too, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But oh man, it's so much fun to go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or these places, and you see all this stuff, and I'm just always tempted to want to buy new things.
It's
So it's
fun.
like, what is it? One thing in, something else out. I mean, you need to.
Once you reach capacity, and capacity is different for different people.
Yeah.
It's based on your square footage. It's based on the amount of time you have to put it out. It depends on how much you've already got.
Yeah.
And it's fun to go. It's fun to go buy the new things. And I would say, as long as you have the room, then buy them. But once you're full, you're full.
Okay. Well, I've got several bins
Okay.
of things that I know I'm probably not gonna. So where's a good place to donate? And is now the time to do it, or is there a?
Now is the time to do it.
Okay.
Now is the time
So
to
if
do
you're
it.
thinking about culling your collection,
That's right. Yep. And culling the collection is an important thing to talk about. In that, and first I'll answer your question. I've got a couple of other things. Is now is definitely the time, because after Christmas,
nobody wants
nobody
this stuff.
wants it.
No.
And so you can give it to the charities that have the stores. Salvation Army has a store. Goodwill has a store.
Another season. Do
Another
they do
season,
things like
Shepherd's Heart has a
that?
store.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so you can give them to the store, and the store will sell them to make money, but they'll sell them at an affordable price.
Yeah, but it's helping somebody put something new in their home, and
Correct.
you've got it out of
Yes.
yours.
Yes, and so if you're going to donate it, now's the time to donate it, because
Okay.
when in about the middle of January you try to take a Christmas tree and a bunch of garland, they're going to be like, oh boy, because now they
No,
have
they have to
they
store
have
it
to store
until
it.
next fall,
exactly,
yeah.
because nobody's buying Christmas trees in January.
No,
And so now's the time to do it. If you're going to do that,
unless
unless
it's your tree's about at the end of its life, and you want to save a lot of money.
Right.
There's a time to buy that new tree to put away for next year.
that's true. That's true. That's
But
true.
then you kind of need to store that old one until it's time to move it out.
Right, and even so, if you buy a tree in January, you've got the leftovers. You don't get your choice of trees.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
If you're
I'm
not, if
picky.
you're not picky.
I'm picky. I like my tree skinny. And
Well, I have to share. Years ago at a junior league thing, deck the halls and all that, Catherine Dolan, wonderful decorator in town, she made the statement, the Christmas police will not come and get you if you don't put out every Christmas decoration you own.
that's true. That's
And
true.
I thought, I have kind of clung to that. And as a result, I've got bins of things that,
Yeah.
I'm just not, it's time for some of the, I guess they're nice. I mean, things are nice. I've just been stored,
Right.
picks
Right.
of sugared berries and what all, that
I can see them in my head in all their glory.
Oh,
the
yeah.
sugared berries. They, and I
Aren't
think
we crazy?
I think we all have those things at the bottom of those bins that it's like, I just don't have room for that, or I don't think I like that, and it's those things that you don't need.
Right.
And so I would say this year, if you do nothing else, take a good hard look at that stuff you're leaving in the bottom of the bin.
Yeah.
And at the very least, put it to another bin. Give it its own bin. Give it a bin and name that bin rejects. 23 rejects.
Okay.
So if you get to this time next year, in November of 24, and you still don't want to use those 23 rejects, then they're becoming 23 rejects, 24 rejects, and you've clearly not used them for 2 years, and so you don't really need them.
And you're just storing them.
You're just
taking up
storing them.
valuable storage space.
You are heating and cooling and insuring them. There is a carrying cost to everything that we own, not to mention, they're schlepping it back and forth. But then there is something really important to talk about, though, because then there's those handprint ornaments.
I know. I can't. I know my
And those are
43-year-old son, and it's a little gold curtain, a little curtain hook thing,
Uh-huh.
and they pasted on the back a piece of red construction paper. I can picture it now with his little thumbprint.
Right, right.
That's going nowhere. I mean, that goes on the tree every year. I
Right.
mean, there are some of those things that are irreplaceable.
And they are, and they're very special.
Yeah.
And those
But
aren't
you know,
rejects.
in time, they're not going to want that stuff.
Right. And those
They're going to be the ones to throw it away.
those degrade too. And
Right.
And so really, so when we move through this process of putting out the Christmas decorations, if we're not being intentional and we're not thinking about it, and going back to it's a lot of work, you get hard and you put these things up. If you were to take the little construction paper thumbprint and get some of the empty Christmas balls, the clear glass ones,
Right.
like curl it up in a little circle and stick it down in there and let it open up inside the clear ball, then we have an ornament and not, and I know yours has the curtain ring on it, but there's so many that are just paper.
Oh,
that
yeah.
if you could,
That's a great idea.
if you could get them into a real ornament inside the, whether it's glass or plastic, it's better protected.
Yeah.
And it will stand the test of time a little better. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
I've gotten some from granddaughter, and it's plastic and it's a little flatter, and then it opens basically, and so they slipped the picture of her in it and snapped it shut. Yeah,
and so what I would suggest is, I don't put those on the tree. My poor little skinny tree has so many ornaments.
and I've got a little tiny skinny tree now. It's not as much room.
Right, and so if you don't have room on your tree for those things, I would say at the very least get a nice box like a a gift box, like a hat box,
Oh yeah,
And-
right.
and put those keepsake type of things in there.
Yeah,
They're not going on the tree, they're not going out, but you can't get rid of them. So help preserve them by not letting them go back and forth and be in that mix every year, handled for no reason. And wrap them in, if you're not going to use them,
Right.
wrap them in tissue paper to keep the red tissue or the red construction paper away from the white construction paper, whatever. Wrap them up, protect them, and then put them in the box.
yeah. It's always good to use white tissue paper, right? Because
Absolutely.
the colored
Right.
is
And that's how,
cute as it is. It's not good for storing.
when my Christmas stuff comes down, they all get wrapped in white tissue paper. Those that are especially fragile get wrapped in paper towels because they're a little thicker.
Right, I've used that. before.
But there's the white, and even if they're not breakable, I still wrap them because I don't want any paint. I don't want the paint from one to get onto another.
Right.
And so sometimes they get hotter than we like for them to, and just sometimes things happen.
Oh, that's such great advice. That's great advice. Well, another thing we'd talked about visiting today about trips. People are going to be taking trips. They're going to be traveling to go to grandma's or whatever. And, you've got a great list of ideas of how to pack. And of course, this time of year it often includes also dragging a bunch of presents.
Right.
Here, I
right,
use that
right.
word again.
Yeah.
But kind of feel like that sometimes. So, what are some of the tips on packing for the holidays?
Okay. So here's what I think. Depending on how long you're going to be gone, how you're going to get there. If, let's say, if we're flying, then I would ship your gifts. I would wrap them in paper, not bags. I would wrap them in paper, put the tags on them, but no bows.
Right.
Put ribbons. You can have a little bag of bows that goes in the box, or a box with bows that go in the box, but I would ship the gifts there. And if you are anticipating a lot, like if you have a kid that you're getting on an airplane to go see grandma and grandpa, I would take with you an empty piece of luggage. Take an empty piece of luggage to bring all that stuff home. Or at the very least, you could take backpacks or duffel bags that could be checked on the way back, or put in an overhead bin on the way back. It doesn't have to be a hard-sided suitcase necessarily, but take the bags to bring the things home. And
Now you just have to plan ahead.
right, you just have to plan ahead. You could always, if grandma and grandpa gave them so much stuff, you can say, Grandma and Grandpa, you're really going to have to ship these home.
Yeah.
Or ships, we'll take these and
Maybe
you take
need
those.
to keep some things here for when we
Right.
come back in the summer.
Yeah, especially if they
to
make
play with.
noise. And and that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Another way, if it's a road trip, when you're packing the vehicle to go in the first place, do the same thing. Wrap the gifts with paper, no bows, no bags, so that they're just boxes, so they can just stack. And if you have a bin, like a large Rubbermaid bin, if you have a cargo area like in an SUV or even in the trunk, just have those separated. And then when you come home, you've got the bin for the extra things too. And so unless somebody gave you a swing set, then most everything should fit in there. And then just be mindful of how many suitcases you have, or the size of the suitcases in relation to how much room you have. It is about planning. It's all about planning.
Okay, let's say you're planning a cruise
Okay.
at Christmas.
Okay.
And going to be cold where you're going. You know, how do you go about planning a wardrobe for, say, 7 or 8 days? And when things are bulky and you don't want to just take gigantic luggage to have to wag around. So are there any tips about how to plan?
Yes, and I wouldn't have had this information 4 weeks ago, but I know now, because I'm going to Montreal the week after Christmas.
Oh.
And it's going to be really cold.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been doing my
I
research.
hate being cold, too.
I've been doing my research. And so I'm going to have, I won't have a car. I'll public transportation in, negative 40 degrees.
Yeah.
And so I need a small backpack or a small bag that I can carry. And so what I've learned is when you're going somewhere that's cold, you don't want the big full sweaters. What I've read in my research is you want something small. So instead of like a big cable knit sweater that's going to come down to about mid-thigh, you have a not a tight, but a snug, like Angora type sweater, a small one, so there's less air. So you have base layer and then a warm but light and thin sweater type thing, and then a polar fleece type thing on top of that. And so when you're packing, you can get more small items than big items. And so I would say, especially when you're going somewhere that's going to be cold, wear what's heavy to get there. Wear what's thick
Your coat.
to get there. And even if it's not cold here. And so just wear the coat, carry it if you have to. And then in your luggage, then get things as small as you can. And what I like to do is I really like to roll things in my suitcase. And so
Yeah, I learned that from Marie Kondo.
Yes.
I mean, she revolutionized my life, as far as my drawers, T-shirts, and all that. I roll everything.
Yes, I roll.
And you can pull it out and see it, and you know what everything is.
That's
it's
exactly
great.
right. And for my son, what I'll do with his things, or not so much now, he just throws his stuff in there. He's a teenager. But when he was smaller, I'd have the pants. I'd have the pants folded in half long ways, and then the shirt, and then I would fold the shirt long, not like I would put it in a drawer, but skinny, tall and skinny, like the pants, and then a pair of underwear and a pair of socks. And if you needed a hoodie, then not the hoodie, but the shirt, the underwear, pants, and socks would all be together, and then I would roll that outfit up together inside the hoodie. So the hoodie's on the outside and everything else is on the inside. And in his little suitcase, he could have 6 little bundles of clothes, and he just pulls out a bundle and his outfit is already made, and I don't have to worry about him not matching and looking funny.
Right.
And I don't want to do that for myself because I want to have options.
Right, and that's where you do, what do they call it, a capsule wardrobe?
It's a capsule.
Capsule where you, and some people are doing their whole closets this way. They're getting rid of a lot of clothes and going with a capsule format and having multiple outfits just on some basic pieces.
That's when I travel, I try to take black. And I'll have a few things of color. There's some jeans. I might have a colorful jacket or some colorful shoes.
Maybe something a little sparkly for just
right. But most of the time,
occasion.
It's I'll take black. If I went to a conference in September in Boston, and 2 pair of black pants, I took 2 pair of jeans, 2 pair of black pants, a party dress, and then like 6 shirts that would go. Everything went together.
Yeah.
And so I could wear anything that I wanted to, and I could wear the same thing twice and nobody would really know because it was with something different on the bottom.
And maybe, some different jewelry, and you can really
Yep. And
change the look up.
And
or a
packing,
scarf or two. Those don't take up much room either.
right. And packing is so much just planning. And if you look at whether you're going on a cruise in June or December, you put out everything that you're going to take. Think about each day. And I love to pack. And so if you think about each day, what's the weather going to be like? What are you going to be doing? And just mentally figure out what you should have for that day. So you have one bottom, two top options for each day.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you get to a place in the planning process, or if you're going to be gone for a long time, if you get to a place in the process, you're like, yeah, I just don't have any other shirts. I guess I could take this one. When you're thinking in your mind, I guess, then you've maxed out.
Yeah.
Once you get to, I guess, don't take anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And just work with what you have so far. Mm-hmm. And so then, like with packing, then I start with what's the biggest. So think of a suitcase. My suitcase has one side that's open and one side that zips closed, right? So I get all of the clothes in the side that zips closed.
Right. That's what I do.
And I start with the big things. If I'm taking a sweatshirt or something like that, or jeans, and I put those at the bottom, and I'm just rolling them up as tight as I can get them. And I can usually get 2 columns go if I were to go up. But usually I go, it's hard to just, I go side to side. Horizontal across the bottom is how I usually go.
All right.
And then go up, and then I've got some more room, so the things up top are smaller. Then I can, pajamas, that's where I can put socks.
Underwear, all those
Yep,
things that you
all
gotta have.
those things. And then the hanging clothes, which things that would need to be on a hanger when I got there, I just leave them on a hanger and put them together, fold the sides in, and fold them in half. And put them over, then I zip it closed.
Yeah.
And so the zipper holds everything. And then the shoes and the curling iron and the
The
fan,
bag of your sundries and
yes,
makeup
all
and
of
all
that
stuff.
goes on that other side. If it's jacket weather, I'll put a jacket, like I'll have all that stuff, and then if I'm taking a suit, for example, I'll fold the suit jacket in half and put it over those things, and then close
Right.
the little elastic straps.
Yeah.
So the jacket holds everything in. So when I open it, they don't all fall out.
It's not all jumbled up.
And that's and it's like Tetris. But we were in Boston this summer we were there 7 days, and I had a laundry service come pick up our clothes a couple of days before we came home. And
So everything was clean when you got home.
most everything was clean.
That's
yes.
awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
It was a game changer.
So I know. So many wonderful things to talk about. But we sort of buried the lead a little bit in that you are starting a brand new business, Jennifer.
Oh, yes.
And it's not going to be called Neat as a Pin, or is it an offshoot of Neat as a Pin?
Nope, it is completely separate from Neat as a Pin.
Okay, and this is something you're all familiar with, the show Hoarders and CSI, when they have to go in. And there's a crime scene. That's got to be cleaned up. So that's what you are embarking in. Do you have the name of your business?
Yes, it's Discreet Clean.
Discreet.
That's
Clean.
right. And the reason for the name is in the situations where you would need a biological cleanup is not necessarily something you want your neighbors to know.
Right.
And we wanted, I have 2 business partners in this venture. We wanted a business model that would care for the people.
Yeah.
And so whether it's a hoarded situation or
It's trauma no matter
it's
what.
trauma no matter what. So whether it's a hoard or it's a suicide or it's the death of anyone.
I know, and we all know of situations like
And
that.
something has to be done, and it usually falls on the family. And so for us, this is an act of caring for our community, in that we don't want them to be A, to have to do it themselves, or B, to then become the focal point of the neighborhood.
Right. Right.
And so it's about being discreet, but being thorough and being compassionate. And so many companies that do this, their branding is red and black and gore, and that is entirely not what we're about.
Not what you're going to be about.
No, not at all. And it is about caring for people, and that's what I've always loved about what I do as an organizer, is seeing people in their space where they are, and recognizing their hurt, and
there's usually a traumatic event. In the case of hoarding, I watched enough of hoarders to get it, that often there's an event or something that happened that causes this need to surround themselves with stuff.
Right.
And then it becomes a blind spot, and they just cannot. It's got to be so hard.
It's almost, it gets to a point where it's almost a layer of protection from the world around them.
Of course, yeah.
And because nobody, even if they did want somebody to come over, nobody would want to.
No.
And that's hard. It's hard for it to be that way. And so they are hurting. And and a lot of times I'll go into them and they'll say, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, and I'm sorry for this.
Right, because they're aware of
they are, and they just
that it's a problem, but they're really kind of helpless to do anything about it.
Right.
And then it may just be so overwhelming at that point, I can't do anything about it.
And it gets to that place, and and I tell them, it's like, here's what's up. If you apologize to me again, I'm gonna leave.
That's right.
It's like if
this is not something you wanted to happen to your wife.
And I try to reframe it, and because I know they're so worried about what I'm thinking, where I can say, if you didn't have all this stuff, I would have never got the opportunity to meet you.
Yeah.
And I'm so blessed to know you. So let's just be thankful for the stuff, and we'll just take care of it and get it done.
Right.
And it's all heart work. It's it's people's hearts, and a lot of times the humanity and the compassion is taken away, but that's what matters most.
And so you have training in this area. I mean, I would presume you've seen hoarded out houses before you started this business.
Yep. And I've been working in homes, like that for years, since I haven't been the cleanup aspect of it. But I understand. I understand the homes. I understand how they got that way most of the time. Not the individual details, but I've just through my training and the CEUs and things that I do. It's clear. My conference that I went to in September was an organizers conference. It was the Institute for Challenging Disorganization, and there was a guy he was giving a talk on hoarding, and he was showing some pictures, and he was like, I give this talk to all kinds of groups, and he said, everybody except the room of organizers just goes, and he's like, you guys are like it's nothing.
Yeah.
and
right.
And it's just a thing. And so now, by doing this, now we can help with the cleanup. And neat as a pin can't clean up bio. A regular cleaning company can't clean up blood, can't clean up that kind of stuff. And so many people came to me and just said, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, I'm so sorry, I can't.
So you have partners now, and there's, I'm sure, a very specialized training that you've been through to do this. I have a friend many years ago died of natural causes, but there was a rupture, and there was a lot of blood, and it was a biohazard then for the home, and so even if it's a natural death without any biological residue, if there's no other way to say that, is there's still some degree of cleanup. There's still some degree of cleanup for the people who still have to live there, who still have to go there, and
or even if that person were to live alone, we can come in and at the very least give it a reset. Give it a reset and get it to where it's comfortable for the family to come in.
Yeah. Well, I think that is one good thing that has come out of the show Hoarders, and in that it has raised awareness of the issue, and hopefully kind of addressed in a way the stigma involved, because it has made it clear to me, that there's a reason for this. They're not just messy. Or just don't care, or greedy, or those kind of things that you think, oh well, that there's a trauma involved in.
Right. It's there's a lot of anxiety.
Right.
A lot. It's
a mental.
It is, and it's
issue.
And it's it's hard. It's hard to be in that place. It's hard to love someone in that place.
Right.
It's hard to care about. It's such a hurtful situation all around, and I'm not a mental health expert by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just it's hard, and you have to care about the people in these situations in such a way that you're not doing more damage, and that's the thing where you would think anybody could go in. We're just putting it all in the dumpster.
Yeah, we're just going to bring a roll up and throw it in.
And that's the solution for a lot of people. You've got all this stuff, you just put it all in the trash. It's
yeah,
gross.
that's right. It's just junk, but not to them.
No, it's not. And we've cleaned up. We've packed, in quotations, we've packed a house before that so much of it, Anne, was trash.
Yeah.
It was trash. There was nothing.
Probably wrappers from food. I mean, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Just dirty, and but it was valuable to them, and so you can't go to someone necessarily and say, "Oh, this is trash. You don't need it." Are you sure that you want this?
They have to come to that conclusion themselves.
Yes, I am sure that I want this. And so in moving, what we did is we put trash, in quotations, in its own box. We made sure that we didn't mix these dirty items with valuable,
things
clean,
really
worthy items. So that, and then on the ones with the good stuff, it said we put on there, unpack first. So at the next place, the trash wasn't getting unpacked. It was the things that were needed.
Yeah,
and
we've got it said we don't really need anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, this is good.
And so once we've hit capacity, then even if it doesn't go away, it can get stacked up in the garage.
Yeah.
And it's not in the living space. And it, if they want it, then it's theirs. It belongs to them. It's not our place to say, no, you can't have it.
Wow. So how can folks get in touch with you? I know. Need us a pin.
Need us a pin. Needasapin.com. I'm online.
Yeah.
I've got Facebook and Instagram. Need as a pin. Not hard.
And now Discreet
Clean.
Clean.
Discreetclean.com.
Very good. Jennifer, you are just awesome. And I could go on and on because I find this fascinating, and my hat's off to you for doing this, for kind of getting into this line of work, because it's so needed by so many people,
Yeah.
because I can really be, I can get sentimental about stuff, and that's just the hardest thing, and that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, we could talk about that another day.
About how to get rid of sentimental stuff. So let's make plans to do that.
Not even get rid of it, but just talk about it.
Talk
what
about
to do about it.
Yeah, maybe take a picture of it and store it in the cloud. There are new options now.
And there's things.
Yeah.
There's lots of we
Well,
could, we
and
could have a whole
photographs,
nother one on
you know,
those.
and all, photographs
Oh,
and,
yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
you are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
For
Thank you for
spending
having
some
me.
time. I love talking to you about all this stuff. Jennifer Snyder with Neat as a Pin and Discreet Clean. And hope to have you again soon.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you for being with us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Central Texas Life with Ann Harder is part of the Rogue Media family. Be sure to check out our other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate this show 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Life with Ann Harder. This has been a Rogue Media Network